Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I solve LeetCode 75 questions using Go programming. So let's look at today's question, string compression. Given an array of characters, chars, compress it using the following algorithm. Begin with an empty string S. For each group of consecutive repeating characters in chars, if the group length is 1, append the character to S. Otherwise, append the character followed by the group length. The compressed string S should not be returned separately but instead be stored in the input character array chars. Note that group length that are 10 or longer will be split into multiple characters in chars. After you are done modifying the input array, return the new length of the array. You must write an algorithm that uses only constant extra space. Okay, let's basically take an example and sort of try to understand this question. So let's go back to the drawing board. So here we have an example. So what will be the answer for this? So the question basically means A occurs twice. So write A, it has occurred twice. And then B, how many times B has occurred? Twice. And then C has occurred thrice. So basically that's all the question is asking. It's string compression. You just basically have to tell how many times each character is occurring and in this format. And there are again some constraints which I'll explain it to you in the second example. So let's say you have an example like this, A and B is occurring like some 12 times. I'm not writing all 12 times, but B is occurring 12 times. In this case, the answer will be A, and we are not appending 1 because they have told in the question if it is 1 you don't have to append, and B has occurred 12 times. So if they have also told if the count is greater than 10, you need to break it down into like this and append it to the array. And also remember, this is all in place, so we are reading and writing into the same array. That's one of the most important point in this question. So okay, if you have understood the question, let's see how we can solve this. So again, I would want to tell that this is a brute force kind of a question. There is no like specific trick or any specific data structure that you're using to sort of solve this. You can think of your own ways. I'll just tell you like how I will solve this. So let's say we have 3 pointers, read pointer, write pointer, and start. So this is pretty simple. Read points to the index to read. So which index you want to read, it will point to that. Write index to write. Whichever index you want to write, it will point to that. Start, I'll explain it to you a little later what it means. I'll do a small dry run so that you will understand like much better what I mean here. So initially, read, write, start will all be at the beginning, and start will just always keep getting reinitialized to read. That much you need to know for now. Now let's see the dry run. So you keep moving the read pointer till you find a different character. So read is at A now. A same character, A B, it's a different character. So move your read here because we found a different character. So read is here. Now let's take this array, and this array is same as the original input array. It's same as this array. I'm just writing it differently so that you can visualize it better, but remember it's the same exact array. So write whatever is there at the start position into the right position. So A was there, we will write A, which is basically rewriting. A is getting rewritten as A. After every time you write, you need to move the right pointer one position. So right will be here. Now what will have to come here? The number of time A occurred should be in this position, right? So how do we find that? So see this example. What will you get if you do write minus start? If you do write minus start, you will basically be getting number of times A occurred. Why is that? Right, start is at the position where A begins, and read is at the position where the A ends. So if you do read minus start, sorry if I told right, if you do read minus start, you will get count of number of times the character has occurred. So do r minus s to append to here as a string unit to append. After that, uh, once you write, read has to move, and start just gets reassigned to wherever read was. So start gets reassigned here. And now let's do the same thing again. Keep moving your R until you find a different character. B and B are same, B and C are different, so your R will go to here. Same thing, whatever is in start, write it to right. So you will write B here, and then after that, as soon as you write, move your right. And then how do you get the count of B? Again, R minus S will basically give you how many times B has occurred, as I explained before. And then after you do that, reassign. After you write, right has to be moved, and then start basically gets reassigned to wherever read was. Same thing, keep moving your R until you find a different character. Keep moving, see, it's all the same. So R will basically end up at the last position. I mean after the last position. Basically it goes out of the array because there was no different character. Now again write whatever is at the start into right. So you'll write C and move the right one position. Now do read minus start as usual. You'll get 3 because start is pointing to the start of C and R is at the end of C. You'll get 3. And then again after you write, always W points to the end. Now the question asks you to return the length of the compressed array. So what is the length of the compressed array? 1 2 3 4 5 6. Where is W? 0 1 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. W is at the last position, which is 6, and 6 is the length of the compressed array. So you return W. I hope you understood that, because W points one position after the length of the compressed array, after the last index of the compressed array, which in turn gives you the length of the compressed array. That's why we are returning W. Now let me go back to the editor and write the code for you. The code is also pretty simple. You just need couple of things. Read, write, both will be 0. N will be len of chars, and then there's 2 times. Okay, yeah, and now let's loop. For there is no while loop in Go, so you need to do it like this, and then start gets reinitialized at the beginning of each character. So read. Now again read is less than n, and if chars of read is equal to chars of start, basically if it is the same character I had mentioned, that we increment read. N is undefined. Oh sorry, it should be defined like this. Yeah, after that I had mentioned chars of write is equal to chars of start. Whatever is in the start position, write it. That's what I mentioned, into the right position. Every time after you write, increment right. Find count. Count is nothing but, I told it's read minus start. Find that. After that, if count is greater than 1, I mentioned it to you, right? In question tells only if the count is greater than 1, you are supposed to like append the count. And now we will do, I'll explain what I am doing here in just a minute. Str ito count, then class of write is equal to byte of d, then write plus plus, and then return write. So what just happened here, right? So you found the count. I hope you understood till there. You would have understood this also. If count is greater than 1 only, then we need to append count. See, the thing is, count need not always be a single digit, right? It doesn't have to be a single digit. Count can be something like 1 to 123, whatever it wants. So in that case, so for example, take an example here. Count can be something like 898, whatever. So in this case, the strcov itoa will convert this integer into a string, and that string you're looping character by character, and then you're writing it into an array. So that's exactly what the question asks. So if the integer is sort of greater than 10, you need to like sort of break it down and append it. That's why we are using this function to convert the integer into an int, and we are traversing it character by character. And why are we doing byte of it? Because when you traverse each character in the string, by default it gives you ruin type, rune, ruin type. But this array is of byte type, so that's why we are converting it into byte and appending it, and that's it. Let's see. Yeah, 100% runtime. What is the time and space? So what is the time complexity? We just have one loop of n space of 1. Yeah, some of you might be assuming that you have a nested loop here, but let me tell, it's not a nested loop because you're essentially incrementing the same pointer here. So it's not a nested loop. We're incrementing the same thing, so it's basically a part of the same loop. That's why the time complexity is so often, and we are not using any extra space. We are doing it in place. That's why the space is so often. Thank you so much for watching my video. By the end of this video, I have completed array and string section of LeetCode 75, and I'll be moving on to the next section. Thank you so much.